Today, I'm going to share, as a first-year homeschooling mom, what curriculum I chose this year for my youngest daughter. It was her kindergarten year. I'm going to share what stuck, what didn't, and what changes we made throughout the year. I'm also going to share what we will use in first grade next year. Hey, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to One Praying Mama. My desire with this channel is just to encourage you, let you know you're not alone, and help you along this journey as we homeschool our kids and raise them to love and follow God. So our youngest daughter is 6 years old, and she just completed her kindergarten year. The first thing that I'm going to share with you is our math curriculum. We chose to use The Good and the Beautiful this year for her, and it is called Simply Good and Beautiful Math K. So this is a spiral curriculum. So that means they kind of cover each topic a little bit, and then they move on, and then they come back around to each topic and build on those. That's the best way I can describe it. This is the course book. It came with a little box of manipulatives, and she really enjoyed this. She loved her box. She sometimes played with it when it wasn't school time. She was really excited. Here's a quick look inside the box of manipulatives. Has some counting sticks, some dice, some cars and pawns that are used in different lessons, and then it will tell you in the beginning of the book how much money of each coin to put in there that they'll use further on into the book. When we started the year, after the first few weeks, I wasn't really sure how I felt about this curriculum. I am not used to the spiral learning style, I don't think. I kind of was expecting more of the mastery-based curriculum, and I wasn't sure how I felt about this. And she is almost done with the book. She didn't quite get through the book because we took it slow. Sometimes we only did a few days a week with her. I think that she did really well. I think that she is getting the concepts. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but I really feel like the spiral works well with her learning style, actually. So we ordered The Good and the Beautiful Math 1 for next year, and we're going to keep moving forward with this program and see how it goes. Here is Math 1. Just an idea of what could be in there. You'll see at the beginning of each lesson, it has a place for the child to practice whatever items on this list have not been mastered yet. So that's different each lesson. They just kind of go around to different things that they've covered, just so they're getting a little bit of that, but they're focusing on the main point of the lesson. Here is the Math 1 manipulative box. It's a little bigger than the K manipulative box, but it has a little clock on the front and just various manipulatives that will be used in the lesson inside. These are some magnetic shapes, some dice, some play money, some little boats, and some clocks. So those will be used throughout the book, throughout the year. She has a few lessons, probably a couple weeks worth of lessons still left in our kindergarten curriculum, but my plan is anyway to work on that through the summer, maybe a day or two a week, just so she doesn't have that summer slide, and so she's ready and kind of like right as soon as it's time to start the school year next year, she's already kind of refreshed and ready to jump right into this. We also used The Good and the Beautiful handwriting for her, and I have not been a stickler about handwriting for her this year, just making sure the letters are formed and she's learning to write and interested in writing is the biggest priority that I had. So she has done this. She's most of the way through it, but we haven't done this on a regular basis. we haven't made this like a priority. This was one of the extras that I ordered just to give her something extra. A lot of her handwriting happened on a dry erase board. As she's been interested, we write things for her to copy, or she'll ask us how to spell something and we'll help her sound it out. And that's where a lot of her handwriting work has come in this year, but that's just what I felt worked best for her. It was a gentle approach I feel that we used, and this is nice, and sometimes it's something to keep her busy while I'm doing a read aloud or while I'm reading history to the big kids. So like I said, she's done this, but it hasn't been a big deal for us. For reading this year, we started off with Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And we got to about lesson 49 or 50, I think, and then we just called it quits. Even by the time we got there, it was this winter. It got to the point where we did a half a lesson a day, and just the way it was set up, it just didn't seem to work for her. It seemed to be really hard and difficult for her. And, you know, she might just be one of those late readers. She's going to read later than her brother and sister did, and that's fine. But this just seemed to be a struggle for her. It got to the point where she was crying every day when we got this book out. And it was a struggle for me too, because I didn't know what to do to make it click for her, to help her understand it. The stories just got to be too long, even though they were short little stories. It was a little difficult for her to understand the way the letters were with the dots underneath and the lines over top. And yeah, she's going to have that some in phonics anyway, but this was just a little bit confusing for her, I think. This is the 100 Easy Lessons course book, and I'll flip through just to give you an example of what is inside. It includes some phonemic awareness activities, some phonics stuff, and then they teach you the way they want you to teach the child to read, with the lines underneath and the dots and the arrows. So we got partway through, and honestly, I think she was just bored with the stories. It was a little bit difficult for her. It's been difficult for her to learn to read, and the stories, I think, were just hard yet boring, and it just didn't quite work for us. And so that ended up being something that we just stopped. I ended up ordering Explode the Code, books 1 and 2, along with the teacher guide. And this has worked so much better for her. She is really enjoying it, not every day, but she seems to be understanding it. She's really doing well at sounding out the words. It's got some spelling in there. And the teacher's guide, it's optional to order that with it, but it's given me some ideas of other activities and things that I can do with her throughout the week. So she's not just doing what's on paper. Plus, I found some activities on YouTube, and I plan to do a lot more of that this summer. We're going to stick with some Explode the Code through the summer, continue working through book 1, and I also got book 2 that we will work on after we complete book 1. So it's just kind of a however long it takes to get through this is the plan. But this is working a lot better for her. She's enjoying it a lot more, and it's starting to click for her. So that's what I really wanted. Here is Explode the Code, Volume 1. So it has 7 to 9 pages per lesson, and it takes several days to complete a lesson. There's also a teacher's guide that goes with it that explains to you different things that you can do with each lesson other than book work. But she's really enjoying this. She's really enjoying just the different activities, the different things that she can do. It's really helping her sound out the words, and with writing words that she doesn't know how to spell, she's learning through this to sound them out. I also ordered the Bob books. I just ordered the set 1 for beginning readers, and she's reading through some of those, and we're just taking it slow, and I just want to make sure that she is enjoying it as she's getting it. There are 12 books in here, and they are just very early readers, and she's enjoying being able to read these stories to me. This is the first one. And they progressively get a little bit more difficult. But she's really enjoying these stories. And like I said, she does a lot of sounding out words and writing them. She's very interested in reading and writing, but she just wants to do it at her own pace, which I am okay with. She's only 6 years old, and it seems to be working for her. I see so much progress from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. One other material that has been kind of a really big part of our homeschool kindergarten this year is something that my mother-in-law told me about. She is a public school reading teacher, and she introduced me to phonemic awareness. So I started out at the beginning of the year just getting a lot of ideas off of YouTube and making up some phonemic awareness games and activities for her. It's really seeming to help her, and she enjoys it most of the time. So some of the extra materials that I used were just these flashcards. They were actually part of a flip book from The Good and the Beautiful, and we just worked on her sounds some with these, her letter names with these some, just to really reinforce that. Also, when she was in preschool a couple years ago and throughout last school year, she got speech therapy through our public school system. Now, because she was preschool age, and our public school opened a preschool within the school system, and they handle all of their IEPs, she was able to get speech through our school system last year. So I would drop her off for a half an hour every week, and she would go to speech therapy. Well, we had to look for a private speech therapist this past year because she was no longer in the public school. Once they are school age, they're not eligible for public school services anymore through speech. So we got on a waiting list for a private speech therapist here in town, but we were never able to. So I used a few things that I found online, and I will do another video more in depth about what I did to help her with her speech. And I am really happy with the progress that she's made this year. It wasn't obviously the most ideal situation without having her in speech therapy, but I learned a lot from YouTube and just some blogs online of how to help her with her speech, and I just kind of did some of that stuff and continued what we had been working on at home with our speech therapist, and when she was ready, introduced some new sounds, and she has made a lot of progress, so we're really happy with that. So I wish you the best of luck in your kindergarten year or your first grade year, and just in your homeschool in general. I hope that you have a great day. Please like and subscribe and share this video with a friend who you think could benefit from it.